Mm. I understand Monk did a Fez night. Oh, and tip of the Fez to Riley for his last Fez night. Thanks, Riley. And I'm sure Riley, say hi. If you're probably watching this on your bike, exercising your knees. I hope your knees are okay. Okay. We're both too young to be having these problems. Well, you're too young to be having these problems. I can still ride my skateboard. Oh, yeah, but I never put my body through all that much abuse. I mean, I've done physical labor. I've dug holes and climbed ladders and and moved jigs, heavy pieces of steel. They call them fixtures. They use them to help when you're building something. Yeah, like a motorcycle. They use that for building motorcycle frames or something. If you want to make several of them and look the same, a fixture is what you put the pieces of steel in. It holds it in place so you can weld it up. Of course, I wasn't doing motorcycle frames. I was doing aircraft exhaust systems. So, all right, talk a little bit about my life. Do you really care? And about the little drama in Stickum. There's been some other nonsense going on YouTube, and and there's those of you that say, "Oh, why get involved? Just ignore it. You're better than that." The funny thing is the people that are talking shit about me are projecting on. I go, "We're better than that," but they're doing it too. It takes two to tango, and I'll admit my part in it. But this whole thing about Monk and I being gay for each other, come on, that's getting old. Gee, I'd call it a mutual admiration society. Frank of the Mountain, Monk, Barfly Brooks, but he hasn't been around that much. Stan. Please forgive me if I'm forgetting anybody, but as far as in our group that's sort of being attacked as a group, and it's not Network of Evil. No. The NOE, the Network of Evil, has been run into the ground. It's ran aground. I was one of the first to leave, though, but I didn't like how the leader of the Network of Evil was treating my Timmy debacle, and I'll admit to it. I made mistakes on that, I did. It was a big mistake to trust somebody, to think that they were all right. It turned out that they're not. He's constantly talking about, oh, it's a battle between good and evil. Well, look at his track record and just tell me who's the good guys and who's the bad guys. I mean, he hates Riley. Riley, sure, he's pulled some pranks that really annoyed me, and I was disappointed and go, man, I was really feeling sorry for you. But Riley is a good guy. You can tell, I mean, at heart, he's a good guy. And, but, I mean, look at all the people he hates on, and then look at the people that he's got in his corner. He's got the Duck Quack's back. He's got the leader of the Network of Evil. He's got some people that are sort of like on the fence, but a few people that I thought were my friends, and then I wonder how can they support his videos when he's pulled the shit he has, stalked me, threatened to stalk my ex-girlfriend, threatened to serve papers on me, it's ridiculous. So anyway, I'm basically fighting a cyber war on two fronts. And on another front, yeah, I've got Al Brookman. Tim, though, he's part of a group, and he's not the king of the group. Other people are domineering him, sending him PMs and telling him what to do. So they're pulling his strings, and then L. Brookman, and who else would I say is actively had to deal with Tim? I can't think of anybody that's actively, because so many people are afraid of him. John's Wacky World is afraid of him. You know, he tries to like play both sides of the fence, but I know I'm not the only one that's annoyed with him over that. Because, you know, in some case, you know what? I used to tease Torp about talking about the fence sitters. And I told him, I said, well, if you sit on the fence, that's how you get the best view. Okay, fine. And I'll still stick by that. But if somebody you think keeps calling you their friend, or you thought they were a friend, and they're enjoying they're being amused by the fight instead of coming in there and, you know, backing you up, or at least remaining silent, there's a whole bunch of fence sitters out there in that case, you know? And I don't mind some of them because they never really said they were my friend or pretended to be my friend. That's okay. So, yeah, Al Brookman and I, we're dealing with that. So, and Al Brookman and I, he'll make a video. I might say something on Fez Night. I'll write one comment, and Tim will make a whole video about it. Now, who's spending the most energy there? You know? In that case, who's kind of winning? And that's me pulling a string. Leave a comment somewhere. Oh, I don't read the comments, and I don't watch your videos. Well, how the hell do you know about this stuff? Or those people in the group are sending you PMs and telling you, and more or less pulling your string so you will react. Think about it. Isn't YouTube wonderful? And somebody said, ooh, the drama, stop the drama, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? That's an aspect of what YouTube is. Hence the response videos. I mean, I could be dealing again with the old political videos. And I used to run around in circles where there was these guys arguing about anarcho-capitalism or all these different forms of anarchy and different forms of government. And they would be going back and forth in response videos. But those battles didn't resort into creating mock sock accounts and mock channels and cloning channels. That was another part of YouTube. And when I first came to YouTube, that was the only examples I saw that were My Boss and the Aliens. And I was new to that, so I didn't really understand what was going on. Excuse me. If anybody remembers My Boss, remember those like animated videos where he had pictures of Dee Dee floating across? Annoyed Racer so much he left YouTube forever. Now there's this guy called Nevish Knows that's on here, and he pretends to be Racer, and he keeps talking on and on about Al Capone. How he's going to make all these videos that are going to blow, you know, Monk and Stan have been making videos around Chicago. Oh, this guy Nevish, he's going to make videos that's going to blow the doors off anything Monk and Stan have been doing. You know, and it's all going to be about Cedar Lake and Al Capone and the bootlegging and the history, you know, and, you know, the one of how Cedar Lake used to be a source for ice. And if it wasn't for Cedar Lake, the United States would have never been able to stand. It was the keystone to this great country, Cedar Lake in Indiana, where Al Capone used to hang out. And dare I say, Monk was telling me, it's his understanding, that wasn't even the right Cedar Lake he's talking about, but it was another Cedar Lake. Well, look, I'm not a historian. I don't pretend to be interested in Al Capone. In fact, that whole gang war stuff never appealed to me. I've never really cared for movies like The Godfather, the whole mafia thing. I've always found, I don't find it appealing. Practicing this eyebrow thing. So, yeah, I don't find it appealing. The only gangster film that deals with that subject matter, you know, of any kind of, you know, hoods and gangsters and stuff, the only film I've ever enjoyed on that subject was, I mean, truly enjoyed. I did watch the Godfather series, and I do understand why it is such a great piece of filmmaking and storytelling and cinematography and all that. Great films. You know, like Raging Bull was a great film. But personally, I don't relate to that. I'm not from the East Coast. I don't relate to the, like, I'm gonna break your balls, you know, the three Utes. So when I first saw Riley Probably you play that up with the pimp daddy, and all that. You're from the East Coast. Not that I don't just, not that I'm against the East Coast or anything. It's just on my thing, my life, what I relate to. But getting back to my favorite film about mobs and stuff, Miller's Crossing by the Coen brothers. I remember the first time I watched that, smoked a little bit with my roommates. And I had a roommate then, a guy from Brazil. I think his name was Renato or something. It was a strange name like that. And Elizabeth. Elizabeth was from New Jersey. And I think Renato, I want to say Renato, but I don't think that was it. And he was from Brazil. He was Jewish. He was a Jewish Brazilian. And I wondered if his family, I don't think I ever asked him, but I said, how did your family end up in Brazil? Were you escaping, Germany or something like that? Which I understand, Jews went to a lot of different parts of the world, the ones that could get away before, the ones that realized what was happening. And so anyway, started watching those. I had no idea what was going on for the first 20 minutes or a half hour or so, because that's a Coen brothers film. Sometimes you're just plunged into what's going on. I finally watched No Country for Old Men, and I really enjoyed that. And but once again, with that film, and even though it's a violent film and it's about really mean people, there is an element to humor, like in Fargo. And tassels bothering me here. So yes, there will be blood. Yeah, Woody Harrelson was kind of, I think, a little bit of the comedy in that. And but it just ends. It just, you think something's going to happen. This guy, the lawman's telling a story, and then it just ends. And Miller's Crossing was one of those, you just plunged into it. There was some great characters. And what I liked about it, what I could relate to more, wasn't about Italian mobsters. They had Irish mobsters. And they had Jewish mobsters. Mobsters. Is that a Freudian slip? No, mobsters are monsters. All of them. The Irish ones they're all equal opportunity monsters. So, I really liked Miller's Crossing. I went back and watched it again years later, and then I could more fully enjoy it. But I'll tell you what, you're watching it while you're high. Oh, what an experience! And the part where they go in to kill like the head Irish guy, and he's like in his bedroom in his bathrobe or whatever, and he's in his robe, and he's an old guy, but man, he's still a badass. And it's like these 3 hitmen come in, and they're after him, and he just knows what to do. He just moves, he gets underneath the bed. These guys walk into the room, and he shoots their kneecaps. The guy falls, and he shoots him again. And it all happens so fast. And what's funny is I remember the Italian mobster he was the comedy relief. He was this guy that had this really fat kid that was just a total brat, And the kid was wore like the little top, like the little Buster Brown, school uniform. Remember Buster Brown? He had a little necktie thing, and like he's like the little dandy. So anyway, I love Miller's Crossing. Now, why was I talking about this? I was talking about gangs and mobs and stuff. Well, anyway, doesn't matter. Drink a little coffee, move on to something else.